the discipline that I had was I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I didn't even put myself in this situation. Just went to bed early on the road. Just don't even go to the party. So I
Yeah.
just didn't. I didn't go to any after party or anything like that. I just was. That was the discipline.
The Rocking Recovery Podcast.
How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to the Rocking Recovery Podcast. And today I want to say that I am so thrilled to have a good friend of mine, and also I'm going to go ahead and say one of the hardest working drummers that I know in the business right now. Jon Siren, thanks for coming on the podcast, man. How you doing?
Hey, what's happening? I'm doing pretty well. Excellent.
I see you have been a busy man.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. This is the only month that I have off this year, basically. So, but that being said, I'm not sitting around. I'm grinding it out, but at least I'm not sleeping in a moving vehicle. So there's that.
Definitely been, at least since the biggest time since I've known you, the health, fitness, and also, you're vegan. You're an author of the book, The Touring Vegan. Was that always kind of like the path for you, or did it kind of just, you made a transition at some point?
Well, the vegan thing happened a long time ago when I was in high school. And I talk about it a little bit in the book. I mean, I always liked animals, and so I became, yeah, an ethical vegan back in high school. A lot of it happened, I mean, I'll get dark for a second, but yeah, there was a lot of deaths in the family that happened. And I just think I needed a radical change at the time. And I didn't really know much about veganism. I had met a couple of vegetarians before when I decided to do this. But I did, however, discover that there were hardcore bands and even like metal bands, like bands like Napalm Death or Carcass, that either had vegetarian or vegan members in the band, or the whole band might have been that way. So yeah, even with extreme music, bands like Earth Crisis, that was a huge one too, or Youth of Today, like these old hardcore bands, that had a big impact on me, and so that helped me make that transition into the ethical vegan.
Right.
Now, when it comes to like health, because veganism isn't necessarily synonymous with being healthy, it can be, but it could also be, hey, I'm drinking beer and eating potato chips or something like
All
that.
right.
And I mean, I certainly met a lot of people that were ethical vegans, but uh, you know, they ate sort of, lots of fried foods, and they weren't
Mm.
really, they weren't, they
Just kind
weren't
of picked
really
and
doing.
choose what they wanted to do with it.
Yeah, they weren't exactly. I mean, they're almost like vegans that didn't eat vegetables or something like that. So we're, they're junk food vegans, as they,
Okay.
that's a term that happens often that you hear. But that's, not everybody who follows this path goes down that path. I mean, I certainly ate more junk food as a kid. I think kids in general, I mean, they're more resistant to a lot of things, and that includes alcohol and things like that too. I think when you're younger, your body can take a certain level of abuse, and
Yeah.
as you get older, it just can't hang anymore. But I'd say maybe like 15, even 20 years ago, I started to really care about health.
Uh,
Um, and I realized its importance as far as being able to just simply do the things that I want to do with my life. So I started getting more interested in nutrition and eating more of what is considered a whole food plant-based diet, which is or whole food vegan diet. So you're focused around whole natural single ingredient foods, and that's sort of the basis of what it is that I end up eating. And then the working out thing, that that's always been something I've been interested in pretty much my whole life. Not in the sense of, oh, I'm going to go to the gym. I mean, that happened later as an adult, but
yeah.
I was into swimming and diving and endurance type sports
Okay.
uh, as a younger person, and and as an adult, now I've been very much into cycling as my main form of getting around town.
Hmm.
So I ride
Probably
my
the
bike.
easiest too.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Living if you live in Southern California or probably even Northern California, we don't get too much rain. There's a lot of bike lanes and there's a lot of bike paths too, where you don't even have to deal with traffic whatsoever. So there's a bike path that follows the 5 freeway that I'm on every single day. So I do 15 miles from where I live, my home, to get to my drum studio every day. And so it's 30 miles total. But I
Nice.
bike that every day, and it's fantastic. It's definitely I do it for not just like feeling physically good. I mean, it helps me with my,
Just
mental
overall.
state.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you get that sort of endorphin rush. I mean, they call it the runner's high, I guess, in running, but
Yeah.
I would say the same goes for cycling or even like lifting weights. Lifting weights is a lot of fun too. I mean, I still lift weights. I don't lift
Mhm.
super heavy anymore. I used to try to
Mhm.
get as big as possible to prove that vegans could be these big, strong dudes. But I never got into steroids and I never got
You're right.
into like lifting so heavy to become, I mean, I tried to get bigger, of course, and I did at one point. And it's really difficult to do, at least for me.
And probably to
So
maintain it too would be just extreme too.
yeah, and it's hard to maintain it on tour. So
Yeah.
I gave up on that idea, but I just, but I still enjoy resistance training. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I don't have any weights, I'm going to do push-ups and squats. I'm going to do a lot of different things to kind of
Fill in
get
those
that
gaps.
sort of,
Yeah.
yeah, to get that activation happening. So yeah, sorry, I guess I don't know if I answered the question in there.
Oh no, dude, definitely. And what's cool too is, dude, I actually do the same thing. Now, it's about half or a little more than what you do. So, my former job, it was 8.1 miles away. So, like, I think it was in your story, kind of like the same bike that you have. It's like the exact same one that I ride,
Yeah.
and stuff. And I ended up, this happened probably about 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago now. Same paths that I was taking. Now I had to go in a bike lane, and the light was green, been green for a second, and this guy hadn't been paying attention and just turned right and smoked me at like 30 miles an hour sideways.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, that was mortifying. Um, but long story short, thankfully I'm okay, still here. If he would have been going straight, would have been probably a whole different story. Um, but yeah, when talking about like the clarity though, because I still write even after like the accident and everything like that, because it does give you like that clarity moment when you're writing. We grew up in the rock music, scene and everything, and I mean, it's been almost what, like 20 years where we've kind of like intertwined with like touring and meeting out. Because I think like the first time I met you was a freaking Mankind is Obsolete era, you know,
Right. Terre
and
Haute, Indiana
yeah,
or something.
exactly, terrible hood, whatever they want to
Yeah,
call it,
yeah, yeah.
you know. Um, but with growing up in this scene, especially, it's really hard to not have any influence of like alcohol or anything around you when you're in a band, when you're performing, when you're at a show.
Yeah.
And we were even talking about this in the last podcast too. When if a band or not band, sorry, like a venue or a town bar is like, I can't pay you, but here's some free drink tickets, and everything. It's just it keeps getting catered in one way, shape, or form, and it's a really bad thing that you can fall into and you won't realize it till later because you see all the famous musicians we grew up listening to and everything, and you saw all their problems like in the tabloids and things like that. Was there ever a moment throughout your career or a certain time throughout your career where that was ever like an issue or anything that you personally dealt with?
Um, I didn't really start drinking until like my mid 20s, and then I
Hmm.
did that. I kind of quit about 4.5 years ago, and I was tapering off slowly. So
Yeah.
I'd say in my 30s was probably where the majority of my, being a rock and roller happened,
Yeah.
in the full sense,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
yeah, no, I definitely went hard a few times. I was never a full-blown alcoholic, like somebody that would be drinking every day or drinking every day on tour.
Yeah.
But I was the kind of guy like if the party was on,
Okay.
then I'm
Yeah.
gonna close. I might
Yeah,
close it
close it
out.
out. All right.
Exactly, exactly. Even with that being said, I never got really into hard liquor, so there was not.
Uh,
I mean, the idea of like shots and things that are even more potent,
wasn't your thing.
I, it was not my thing. It's not that I had never done that before, but it was something where I was a beer guy, so I'd have,
Gotcha.
4 or 5 beers, but that got me pretty in the zone. So, I don't. Yeah, yeah. And as I tried to taper off, I mean, I just was getting really bad at hangovers. Let's just put it that
For
way.
sure.
So at a certain point, the hangovers, the caring about my health, seeing other people die,
Right.
not just have, maybe make a lot of bad decisions and cause themselves like a lot of drama in their own lives, but I'm
Mhm.
talking about like, people had took it
Too
to a
far, yeah.
point, yeah, to a point where it actually straight up killed them.
Mhm.
Or and some of these people also might have been mixing other drugs in there too, but I think
Right.
that reckless kind of behavior, it's just yeah, I mean, I just saw it, and I was starting to see the repercussions, and I fortunately came out unscathed. I mean, we'll never
Yeah.
know the long term damage
Mhm.
of maybe those party nights. We don't know if that did something to my liver or kidneys or any of my organs long term. I mean, I'd like to think that I eat pretty healthy, and have, for the most part, a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, perhaps I had some repercussions that I'm unaware of, but at least nothing on the surface seems to be um presenting itself. So I don't know. Well, fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. But anyway, yeah, I had to stop. I had to stop because as I was tapering off, because I was tapering off even like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
starting to taper off, where maybe I'd only have like 3 or 4 big moments a year where I would have like 5 beers. And again, like
Yeah. Yeah.
for some other person, 5 beers might seem like nothing, but
Right.
I'd
Okay.
be I'd be pretty lit on 5 beers.
Right.
So anyway, uh, it just lost its allure to
Yeah.
me, and then again, like seeing I mean, like, occasionally I see people having a good time and there's alcohol involved, and I'll get that YOLO feeling. I mean,
Right.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't, but I'm always I'm always happy the next morning. Let's put it that way.
For sure.
When I
Yeah.
get up, I'm a morning person. I get up,
Mhm.
I have my breakfast, and I get on my bike, or if I'm on tour, I do a workout or something like that, and I'm feeling like $1 million, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
go then do the show or something like that. I mean, there's nothing better than that feeling to me. I mean, that's actually a way better feeling than whatever it is that I was trying to, your
Accomplish when you're
cliche thing.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the drinking usually was masking a lot of pain or
Mhm.
insecurities, or it's just that classic thing. So, you got to sort of work on your own problems. I think everyone needs to kind of figure out a healthy way to do that.
Oh yeah.
And obviously, there's many paths to doing that. But if you can make it to a certain age, hopefully you've got enough experience in life, and you can kind of figure those things out. What's going to work for you.
And I think, especially with, everything that you talked about, and I think you probably agree as well, building a certain discipline within yourself, regardless of age, going vegan. I mean, that is a discipline in itself, the health and fitness, that is a discipline and things that you do every single day. So, somebody that's trying to, fight through and get sober and going through all the periodic moments of whether it's a relapse or certain situations that they have in their life, what disciplines do you think works best, maybe universal, but especially maybe just for you, when it comes to running into like certain challenges like you were just mentioning?
Okay, so the things that I had to do in order to kind of make this happen,
Hmm.
I had to first of all, for a year, kind of white knuckle things. I mean, of course, I was going to be in social situations here and there, and I'd be tempted. And I think if you get through it, I can only speak for myself. you pass about a year mark of not drinking and being in those social situations, or the discipline that I had was I didn't go anywhere. I
Yeah.
wasn't,
You put
I mean,
yourself
except
in
for
this
on tours,
situation. Yeah.
I didn't even put myself in this situation. Yeah, I just went to bed early on the road. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, all the tours I'm on are different. It's either a bus or it's an RV or something like that, or
Yeah.
maybe a hotel. So I'd always go to the bunk or the hotel after the show.
Mhm.
That was, just don't even go to the party. So
Yeah.
I didn't go to any after party or anything like that. I just was, so that was the discipline. And it was difficult at first because, yeah, I mean, you don't also want to seem like, oh, hey, I'm the boring guy or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of wonder if people are going to look at you that way. But
Like John's turned
you know,
into an old man.
yeah, exactly. And you could joke with them about it and be like, yeah, I guess I'm old now or what. I mean,
Hmm.
like at the end of the day, no one cares. I mean,
No.
sure, some people might care, and maybe it mattered. I think it's probably harder. I think when you're younger, but when you get older, people just sort of accept you for
Yeah.
you, especially if you're amongst older people.
Hmm.
I know I'm making a generalization, but I would say that people of a certain age, they just don't care. They
Yeah.
want, it's like everyone just do what's going to make you happy, and no one's there's not so much of this peer pressure type of thing that maybe
Yeah.
existed in my teens and 20s. But I mean, in my teens and early 20s, I was in like straight edge hardcore bands. You know what I mean? So like
Right.
so it didn't really matter. I mean, the whole deal was not even drinking anyway. So
Right.
there was never that pressure. I mean, that pressure didn't start happening until, yeah, my mid late 20s, when I did start drinking and I was touring with bands,
Mm.
and occasionally there was that pressure. But anyway, the discipline is, yeah, to not show up at the party for me. And then if you do, to have a plan of action. So my plan of action at first was I'm going to drink these no alcohol beers, which occasionally
Okay.
I will have like some Heineken Zero type of scenario, on occasion. So if you ever see me with a beer, it's always a no
Don't
alcohol
call
beer.
TMZ
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. So I have not, I'm pretty bullheaded, when I get,
Mm.
when I kind of think that, when I decide on something, I don't usually, I mean, if I had a good enough reason, I might switch. But if I feel like there's not really any good reason to switch
Right.
back to drinking again, then I'm
Yeah.
just probably not going to do it. There's a good chance I will never have alcohol again.
Mm.
But that being said, I'm able to have a non-alcohol beer and not have it trigger me. Now, some people, that is not the
Yeah.
case, so that could be a dangerous move. So that might be the move. You order the one beer, the one non-alcohol beer, and you nurse it, or I would just get, sparkling water with some sort of juice or something like that, so it
Yeah.
looks like a cocktail.
Yeah.
That
Sure.
was my other move at a bar. But again, I had to spend about a year not being in bars too much, as little as possible, to
Yeah.
like just get over it. There isn't a single moment off. I mean, I literally have to get off a flight, get into a vehicle, and then go right in rehearsals for the next tour, and then a similar move when that tour ends. I have to immediately um, fly out to that tour. So, kind of go home, do laundry real quick, all that kind of crap, and just, yeah, it's just, so it's pretty full on. I
For
mean,
all of the artists out there listening, if you want to do this, just listen to how crazy this can get.
it
Because
is. I
everybody sees
mean,
the pictures.
no, you have to practice in your head at a certain point. I mean, it kind of sucks. I mean, I'd love to just always be behind a kit and practice for bands,
Mm.
but not to say that I'm going to try to put in like horrible quality to the groups that I play with. I mean, I wouldn't take on a gig if I didn't think I could handle it.
Oh yeah.
But
But
yeah, I mean, I
traveling,
do have to.
you yeah.
I practice. Yeah, well, I do practice while I travel.
Mm,
So when everybody, and I'm a morning person, so I get up early and I'm usually working on music, or I'm doing some sort of physical training or something like that,
yeah.
exercise or something like that while everybody else is asleep. So I usually start to um yeah, I'll work on the next tour essentially, or the next two tours in some cases, where I'm just going through the songs and I'll tap on my chest and like my feet and just kind of visually go through the
Mm,
set. So that's kind of what I do. Yeah, yeah, it ends up being it's a lot of work, but yeah, you've got to be disciplined. I guess it's sort of the same as like if you're
mhm.
trying to quit booze or this or that, you have to just find something within you that just goes, I'm going to do that. And then
Don't stray from it.
can't you don't stray from it.
Hmm.
You don't yeah, I mean you kind of have to do it even, sometimes yeah, I would like, what I rather occasionally just take it easy and
Yeah.
sleep in or do something more relaxing. Okay, yeah, sure, sometimes. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's worth it to actually do something relaxing and chill
Yeah.
out for a minute because maybe you're just going so hard that you will be not very productive. there
Not
there
very
is
useful.
something to be said about that, but yeah, no, you have to have, I guess with either, you have to keep going back to your why. People talk about the
100%.
the why and like
Yes.
self-help podcasts and whatnot, when people are trying to improve themselves. And so it's kind of like your personal mission statement. So why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this because I really like music and I want music to be my career.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go back to working some crappy minimum wage job.
Unfulfilling
Not,
job. Yeah.
and no disrespect to that. I mean, we need people to do all sorts of work. We need, to kind of make the whole system
Hmm.
work. But I mean, I'd always work really bad jobs where somebody's micromanaging me, but the only redeeming value of that
So you gotta
job
go out on the
was
road.
was they didn't care if I went on the road. But I
Yeah.
mean, like, so it's either that life,
Yeah.
and then I'm not spent, and then the majority of my energy is going into that rather than practicing, or you play in as many bands as you can or as many tours as you can,
Yep.
and then because I mean we all know the music industry, it's maybe not what it used to be.
Hmm.
um I'm sure there's a lot of people that can make sick money doing this, but if you're trying to make a living off of music, it's tough. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's gonna require, you're either gonna have to have some sort of um, method of making money outside of it while
Yeah.
doing it. Which there's been some very clever people
Hmm.
that have had interesting work or ways to supplement their income besides just like say the tour.
Right.
But anyway, I don't want to go too far off topic.
For
If
sure.
I want my life and my mission is to be a musician, and this is what I do, then yeah, I got to play a lot. I'm
Hmm.
not trying to say that as any sort of a complaint either. I mean, I'm very proud and appreciative of the opportunities that I have, but it is
For sure.
hard. And there are
100%.
moments, even though I really like it, there are moments where it's like, Jesus, I'd rather just sleep
Right.
for a
Be
bit,
home for a little bit longer. Yeah.
or yeah, exactly. Just that kind of thing. It's like, it becomes taxing on relationships,
Yeah.
both romantic and friendship relationships, because you're not around and you're
Hmm.
so dedicated to this, and it takes sometimes that kind of dedication, I think, or at least that's my story. I don't know. I mean, we all have a different story. Me quitting any sort of drinking or any sort of recreational stuff like that, that just made me even more focused. I mean,
Yeah.
because yeah, if you have a hangover or something like that, you're just not productive the next day. You're nursing the hangover. You go, I mean, I would get dark too. I mean, I would just be mentally like wanting to die, so it's
Yeah.
just, that's no fun. So yeah, I mean, the aftermath was always like far worse than the joy of celebrating with friends, or any of the possibilities one can concoct in their mind of
Being intoxicated
drinking,
in this
being
moment.
intoxicated, being in the moment. I mean, and maybe that's the one thing that I miss is sort of being in the moment. And so I haven't
Yeah.
quite figured that one out yet. I mean, I have on some level, here and there, like,
But the vibe's
because,
different,
but the vibe is different. But maybe that's the key too on some level, is to figure out other ways to be in the moment. Because yeah, I mean, when you're drinking alcohol, you're more likely to do whatever, like,
Exactly.
yeah, we want to hang out longer, we want to go to this club now, we want to do
Yeah.
that, and just make a whole, you're
Yeah.
just kind of like
Sun's coming
this.
up. Who cares?
Yeah, yeah, you've got that. I mean, and there was something kind of fun and magical about that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, but again, like, the hangover sucks, and
Mm.
so how do you, I guess,
Wean yourself off the pleasures of the in the moment
yeah, it's
stuff, you know.
there's a give or take. I mean, the
Yeah.
benefit of me being more disciplined and less fun, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
by
it's
going
way.
out is that, hey man, I'm working a lot more. I'm doing
Yeah.
exactly what I set out to do with music. I'm out
Mhm.
there playing and touring, and because I've made it my single focus.
Yeah.
So I've dedicated myself completely to learning music and practicing it, and then getting on the road with these bands and playing it in front of people every night. So uh, that is certainly a fantastic reward for not drinking, for having
Yeah.
discipline and hard work, and then but also not having something that can kind of make you lose your focus.
Dude, that's freaking awesome, man, and congratulations on all your success, man. And thank you for all the pointers. And we were talking about this in the first podcast. The main reason to even do this podcast, not only for one, for me, I've done different things like AA, I've done Recovery Dharma, but the funny thing with this is when I first brought up the idea of it, how many people were interested to be interviewed, talk about these times, because as musicians or whatever, everybody talks about all the cool things, then all the cool shit that you do, and just you feed everybody the cool shit, but being able to have these conversations. And for people that, I know when I was growing up, I was seeing all my favorite rock bands, freaking, Bottle of Jack or whatever, and hearing the stories of all the drug, I mean, that didn't bother me. There's probably even some point in time that I probably thought, oh, I guess that's just part of it. It just comes with the signing,
Yeah, it was
and
glorified, sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, if this can be something that can, keep more artists or people in this industry, or even just people in general, that may be fighting something, focused and level head by hearing the stories of other people, and hearing ways that they've kind of kept that focus and that discipline and created those new routines and new habits. I think that this podcast, has done its job, so
Yeah, absolutely.
really happy to have you a part of it, man. And thank you again so much, dude. And like I said, I look forward to seeing you on the road, man. And, we'll double back at this at some point for sure.
Okay, thanks for having me, man. All right,
Not a
you guys
problem.
take care.
The Rocking Recovery Podcast.